How much do you think I save per month living the quintessential van life? Well, I'm about to share that with you. Hello, my name is Michelle. I live in my 2021 Ford Transit that I converted with a ton of help from friends and especially my parents. Thanks, Mom and Dad. In today's video, I'm going to share with you the super granular details, even the spreadsheet that I use to pull all this data together. It includes 4 months worth of apartment expenses so that I could get you a decent average, and then 5 months of van life expenses just so we could compare apples to apples, or as close as we possibly could. All right, back in the day, I used to live in a 505 square foot apartment in a small rural town outside of a metropolitan area. I absolutely loved the town. I would totally live there again, but my apartment, I would never live there again. The architecture was beautiful. It was one of those old textile mills that had been refurbished into apartment living, but the walls, you guys, they were paper thin. It was ridiculous. I could hear my neighbor having sex. Yeah, sex. There was no privacy. If he sneezed and I said gazoon tight, he totally would have said thank you. To me, that is unacceptable. They put absolutely no soundproofing barrier or probably insulation in between the walls. It's ridiculous. But besides the point, rent. I used to spend on average $1,062 per month. I consider campsites to be the related category. On average, I spend $196 per month. That is not bad. That is a savings of $866 per month. Could you imagine, or maybe you yourself live in an apartment and you're currently spending base rent $1,500? If you did this, you would be saving like $1,200 to $1,300 per month, possibly. That is a massive savings. Car payment and insurance. I used to have a 2021 Subaru Forester that I absolutely loved. I miss the heated steering wheel and the heated seats and all the adaptive cruise control, all those nice features. I bought it when we were coming out of COVID, so the vehicle manufacturers were really slow in ramping up production, and the dealerships were having a hard time getting vehicles in. So granted, I bought it maybe not at the most ideal time, but my car payment and insurance at that time was $549 per month. When I bought this van, it was when interest rates were super high over Labor Day weekend of 2023. Also, maybe not the smartest time to buy a vehicle, but I was ready to jump in, and so I did it. I purchased a 2021 Ford Transit Extended High Roof 350 that had like 7,650 miles on it. That payment with insurance is $885 per month. That is $336 per month more than what I was paying when I lived in an apartment. However, when it is paid off, my house on wheels is paid off. I don't have a 30-year mortgage. That is pretty cool. Of course, it depreciates, but whatevs. Car maintenance. Back in the day, I was averaging about $358 per month. That is also because I traded in my vehicle, so I got all the maintenance and new tires on it before I traded it in. Van maintenance so far has been an average of $126. That is a savings of $232 per month. Gas. Let's talk gas. All right, back in the day, apartment living, I used to drive to my boyfriend's house, which was an hour away, and my parents' house, which was an hour away, and I drove to like spend time with friends or go hiking or like drive to the mountains and go camping and hiking. I averaged $224 per month on gas. Now, I have more than doubled that. I spend $517 per month on gas. That is $294 more. But it's my home on wheels. I take it everywhere. I have to dump my gray tank, get water, get gas, get groceries, do laundry, take Blaze to the dog park, go find somewhere, an activity, a hiking trail. So I'm going to put miles on it. And my home base is in North Carolina. I prefer to do van life over on the West Coast, in the Southwest, and I hope to explore Nevada and California and then the Pacific Northwest later this year. There's so much more camping available here, which makes it way more affordable. I imagine my gas is probably going to stay around that each month, but that's okay. It's to be expected. All right, groceries. These are pretty much the same. There's only a $12 increase. I used to spend $483 per month on groceries when I lived in my small apartment. Now I spend $496. I used to spend $463 on meals and entertainment. Now I spend $129. That is a savings of $335 per month. Granted, I'm not around my friends and family, so I'm not going out to dinner. I'm not doing like all those activities that I would have done if I were around them. However, I do get to go visit friends and family, so I will buy them dinner or bring them flowers or do something as a gesture of gratitude for taking the time to spend time with me and hopefully allowing me to take a shower and do my laundry at their house. The next one is internet and phone. Blaze has her paw on the tripod, so if the video shakes, that is why. When I lived in an apartment, I spent $129 per month on internet and phone. Now I spend $231 per month. That is $102 more per month. Having connectivity is extremely important living on the road as a solo female traveler. And I am grateful that I have access no matter where I am because of Starlink. However, it comes with a price. Starlink right now is $165 per month, which is, in my mind, is astronomical because that is 3 times more than what I used to pay when I lived in an apartment. Electricity. Back in the day, I must have lived in a really energy efficient apartment. It was brick. It was $39 per month. That is not bad at all. There is no electricity. I have solar panels. The sun is free. I mean, I had to pay for the panels and all of the gadgetry to make it work and utilize the sun, but it pays for itself. Let's talk laundry. I miss having a stackable washer and dryer at my fingertips so that I could do laundry whenever I needed to. However, that is just not possible in a 84 square foot tiny home on wheels. So I spend on average $17 per month to do laundry. I try to do it every 2 weeks, but I will push it off as long as I possibly can because I hate doing it. I have done laundry before when I lived on the road back in 2021. I did laundry and I didn't realize it at the time. I put my clothes in a dryer where somebody who smoked had just taken their clothes out of. My clothes came out smelling like smoke. And that is one of the main reasons why I do not care for doing laundry in laundromats. My tip is read the reviews. Find one that is as clean as possibly can be. And I really like the ones that are coinless, where they have an app on your phone. It does cost more. Usually if I use one of those, it's about $25 for like 3 or 4 loads, give or take. apartment expenses, the grand total for apartment expenses for me back in 2023 was $3,307. Van life expenses, grand total, average out to be $2,597. You guys, that is $710 worth in savings. It could be even more if I wanted it to be. That is massive. Do you know what you could do with that money? Just ponder with me for a moment. What would you do with an additional $710 per month? Take a trip, go explore a national park, pay off your van, set aside additional funds for a safety net, increase your contributions to a 401k or an IRA, set aside money for the future purchase of a home or land, get another degree or a certificate, start a business. There are so many things that you could do with that money. So much. Buy all the fancy cheeses in the world that you like, right? Or the wine, or I don't know, go on a retreat. Yeah. There's so many ways that you could spend that money. Or you could save it. You could save it. Apartment life, $3,307 versus van life, $2,597. That is, on average, 21% more affordable to live the nomadic lifestyle than it is to live in an apartment. If we look at that $710 and we multiply it by 12, that gives us $8,520 saved over the course of an entire year. Imagine if you did this for 2 years or 4 years. You would have possibly $32,000 saved if you did this for 4 years. That's massive. Massive. That is a decent down payment, or the beginnings of one, because things have gotten really expensive, y'all. Speaking of expensive, I will say I have two other things. And at the end of the video, I'm going to share with you ways to reduce your expenses or to save money to make the life even more affordable, because I recognize that being able to, one, afford a van that has a price tag of about $50,000, and then to do a van build that is about $21,000 is may be unattainable for quite a few. And I get that, and I see you, and I understand, because for the longest time I pondered how in the world was I going to make this lifestyle work for me. There was no way that I was going to be able to live in an apartment and do the build myself. I couldn't afford to do both. And there was no way that I was going to be able to afford this lifestyle if I paid someone to do the build for me. And it was not feasible to buy $100,000 or $125,000 or even an $80,000 RV that is mass produced. That just wasn't an affordable option either. So I sacrificed what I consider a lot to get here, right? I moved out of my apartment with paper thin walls, moved in with my parents, which I love you guys, and I am so grateful that you allowed me to do that. However, that is still possibly a sacrifice at the age of 47 for both of us, right? Or all of us. The second is I sold almost all of my furniture and all of my personal possessions and used that money towards the expenses for the build. And I did the build myself with a lot of help from friends and especially from my parents. This build would have been a lot simpler had I not had my parents' knowledge and expertise and willingness to brainstorm and resourcefulness at my fingertips. Had I not had that, this would be so much simpler. So I understand that there are a lot of people who want to do this alternative lifestyle, or at least give it a go. And I say, start small. I used to sleep in my car. I used to have a Honda Pilot, and even in the Subaru Forester that I had, I would go to the mountains and I would sleep in the back of my car. Or I drove to Florida once, and that was my first time I ever slept in the back of my car. I parked in a Cracker Barrel in Georgia, I believe, and that was the first night I slept in the back in a Cracker Barrel. Very scary. Didn't really sleep, but I did it. And I made it to my parents. I got to spend some time with them, and I made it back home safely. So if you want to do this lifestyle, I think you totally can. It is affordable. It's all relative, right? I spent a decent amount of money on the van and the build because I knew that I wanted to do this full time for the foreseeable future. I wanted a reliable vehicle and I wanted to be comfortable. Those were the two important things to me, and so I sacrificed to make those happen. The next is start small. There are people out here in minivans. There are people out here in cars. If you are curious about that, Google it or go to YouTube. YouTube is an amazing resource just to get a sense of what it's like to live full time. And, you're going to be uncomfortable. I'm still uncomfortable. It gets hot in here and it gets really cold in here. But the views, y'all, the places that you can stay are absolutely stunning, and to me that is the most wonderful gift and worthy trade-off for lacking in comfort. I recognize that this decision, this living circumstance for many is not by choice. It's out of necessity, and I feel very grateful that that is not the case for me. And I see those people as well, and my heart goes out to them because I can only imagine the challenges that they have faced to be put into that position, and also the challenges that they face while they are in those or under those circumstances. I feel very fortunate, and I do not take it for granted. I really don't. 4 ways to reduce expenses. And I want to know down in the comments, how do you save money for your travels? Or if you're living this lifestyle, do you have ways, measures that you take to save money that I am not including in this list of 4? The first one is travel slower. Travel even slower than you think you need to travel. My rule of thumb, unless I'm staying at a Walmart or a Cracker Barrel, somewhere like that, ideally, I am going to stay somewhere for a minimum of 2 nights, just to get a sense of routine back and to feel a little bit of groundedness in being in one place for 2 nights. I don't always make that happen, but that is my goal. That is the minimum. The maximum would be 14 days, but I can't last out here for 14 days. on the water that I have available. So I usually stay somewhere for about a week. That is the most ideal. But yes, the less money you spend on gas, the better. If you set a budget, let's say you aim to only spend or only purchase 1 tank of gas per month, or not per month, 1 tank of gas per week, and let's say your gas is $50 per tank or fill up, that's $200 to $250 per month that you would be spending. Right now I'm spending just over $500. That would cut my fuel expenses in half. If I did that, I'd be saving over $1,000 a month. Not bad, huh? The next is skip campgrounds, or at least the ones you have to pay for. There is so much Bureau of Land Management land and National Forest land, and also all of the free parking lots, the Walmarts, the Cracker Barrels, the Cabela's, the Bass Pro Shops, the travel areas, rest stops, visitor centers, Loves, like you name it. There are so many free places available to stay that if you do your research, and I'll show you on my phone how I do it. I use 2 apps. I use Campendium and I use iOverlander. And I learned really early on last summer, and it's a good practice to do, is you open up the app and you just search for where you are or where you're headed and kind of get a sense of what's available. And what I will do in Campendium is I will take that price slider and I will slide it all the way to $0 because I don't want to spend a lot of money while I'm out here because it just costs more money. There's a truck going by. Speaking of, there's a BLM truck going by right now. And from there, I will read the reviews, look at the pictures, and get a sense of what the area is like before I decide where I'm going to go. So that is my tip. iOverlander is similar. I don't care for it as much, but I know it's a pretty popular app, so definitely check that one out too. The other one, and this could be a little controversial because I do like to support the small town, independently owned places, businesses. However, they can get so pricey when it comes to groceries and goods and gas even, that sometimes you just need to get your groceries when you're in a larger city or town. They are more affordable than when you're in the small town. And if you are headed to a national park, get your groceries when you're on your way there, not when you're outside the gate, because in most cases, the towns surrounding the national parks, most of them are small towns and they have those small groceries. However, if you have the money and you want to support them, please support them. That is what I choose to do. I just think it's so important and I appreciate them and I want them to stay open for business. So please support them. You could also meal prep, or if you had enough space, which I don't, but if you did, you could bulk up, purchase bulk items to save. Doesn't quite work for me, but you could. Choose to do free activities or very affordable activities. So I'm doing this right now. Free activities in Sedona, Arizona. The 10 best free things to do in Sedona 2025. Most of these are going to be hiking. Yes, they are all hiking, almost all. But there are so many free things out there. I'm continuing to scroll. It's Sedona. It's all hiking. But there are other places you can go. where there are going to be free places or free activities to make your travel more affordable, more feasible. So yeah, those are my 4 tips. Again, if you have any additional tips, or if I missed anything, or if you have any suggestions, please put them down in the comments below. I would love to hear from you. And if this video resonated with you, if you found it helpful, insightful, entertaining in any way, please like, subscribe, consider sharing. It helps out the channel tremendously, and I greatly appreciate you sticking around to the end. All right, I'll see you guys next week, and please be good to yourselves. The next one is internet and phone. Whoa, Blaze. The next one is internet and phone. Blazy, stop kicking the camera.